name is Maurice Washington. I want to welcome everybody to another episode of Executive Talk. You know, we actually just got finished with a great episode of affordable housing, so I would ask that everybody go and look at the archives and actually check out the show. It's some valuable information. Today, we're actually going to start a new series, and it's something that's very important to everybody. So remember, here at Executive Talk, with this business TV show, we talk about the heart and soul of your business. We want to talk about what's going on emotionally and what's going on spiritually within your business and everything that you're going through. So what we're about to address today, I need your help. And what I need for you guys to really track with me on this particular show. This particular show, we're going to touch on a lot of areas, and we're going to touch on business at the very end, but we need to actually do some framework so everybody can understand where I'm coming from when we talk about today's topic. So let's go ahead and get into today's topic. What is it? What is it all about? What are you keeping me in suspense about, Maurice? Well, let me tell you. This right here. Take a look at the screen. Business ownership. That's what it looks like. It's a big question mark. Some days you feel good. Some weeks you're on fire. Some months you have a good trail of months, maybe even a whole year. Business is going really good. But every day you wake up with the feeling of, I don't know what today's going to bring. You don't know what the next month is going to bring. You don't know if this year is going to be the next best year for you. You don't know if you're going to go into a downturn. You don't know. There's so many variables, specifically when it comes to business ownership, that is hard to really grasp. And this question mark by itself and what business ownership creates on a daily basis for every single business owner that's out there is this question mark, and is the word impatience. Think about that for a minute. How many people are impatient? If you raise your hand, well, then you're among the rest of us. So am I. I used to have a big issue when it came to impatience, and it was just part of my daily living. But that's what we're going to talk about, is how impatience has a part in this right here. There's something about this question mark that actually bothers you, whether you like to admit it or not. Part of bad time management has everything to do with this question mark that business ownership offers you. It offers you an opportunity of a lifetime. It offers you access to things that you never really had before. But there's a big question mark every single day. Is this going to be the day? Am I really going the right direction? Every person wakes up with that question mark in business ownership. And part of our function, part of our impatience, is to not feel this question mark because it bothers you internally. Let's just be real about that, business owners. It really bothers you to have this question mark. So all of our function, all of our impatience in business development is to avoid this question mark. So scripturally, where did this all come from? You know, as I was praying about this and trying to figure out what the Lord would have me talk about, this is what he sent me to. Let's go ahead and go back to Genesis 1 through 31. I'm not going to take you through every single scripture because that particular chapter is, as you know, long. But I'm going to paraphrase it so that way you can get some understanding regarding business development. Okay? And let me take it in God's terms. This is how he developed the earth. So remember, on the first day, and go ahead and go into your Bible and track it with me, God said, let there be light. Okay, at the end of the first day, once he distinguished that, and you can read the rest, I'll give you the Cliff Note version. He stepped back and looked at everything and said, very good. On the second day, God said, let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water. Okay, once the first day was very good, once he put his stamp of approval on that development of the first day, then he went to the second day and made this, between the waters to separate water from water. He stepped back and said, very good. On the third day of the development of the earth, let there be water under the sky, be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear. So remember, on the second day, between the waters to be separate water from water, and then let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear. Okay? So once the second day was foundationally strong, and he declared that it was very good, and it was to his satisfaction, on the third day, he was able to build upon that. So on the third day, he looked back at everything and said, very good. On the fourth day, let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times. Once he did that, yet again, what did he do on the first day? God said, let there be light. He built upon that once he said it was very good and was able to build here, build a foundation. It was strong. He stepped back on the fourth day, and as you read in your scriptures, he said, very good. On the fifth day, let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky. So once he saw that everything was good in this arena, he understood that the water and the living creatures can come together and let this happen. So there is another development. There is compound interest on God's development as he was developing the earth. That's what I want you to pay attention to, is the development part of this. On the sixth day, let the land produce living creatures according to their kind. Let us make mankind in our image and our likeness. Okay? He goes on the sixth day, and that's where he creates man. And at the end of that, he said it was very good. See, all this production from day 1 to 2 to 3 to 4th, 5th, and to the 6th day, it was all specific for the 6th day, because that's when he created man. He wanted all that development complete. He made sure it was very good. He made sure it was accurate, and make sure everything functioned together. And it was very good. See, the thing about the development, you never saw in the Bible, he had to go backwards and say, oh man, you know what? I forgot on the 5th day, I need to go ahead and put a bird in there. He didn't go that route. Everything was very good, methodical, very good. And then he went to the next day. Then on the 7th day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the 7th day, he rested from all his work. Okay? So how long did God work? 6 days. Okay? To develop the whole earth. And on the 7th day, he made it holy, because that's the day that he rested. I want you to understand the development behind the earth and mankind. Okay? Shortly thereafter, if you look at the scriptures, then it goes into Adam and Eve. He talks about that relationship. So in order for God to actually focus specifically on Adam and Eve, he had to get everything else first. So now he was focused on mankind, because mankind was grabbing his authority. He gave his authority to mankind. So understand that process. Because this was developed the way that it needed to be, he can now focus on where he wanted his authority to go to. Now, after the fall, okay, this is very important that we understand this, because this is where this part of this impatience part of it starts to churn in us. Cursed is the ground because of you. And this is when Adam fell, the disobedience and eating of the tree. Through painful toil, you will eat the plants of the field. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. So this is the cursed lifestyle. So it sounds like, well, it's not that bad, because, he still gets to eat the plants of the field. So, it's not that bad. But when you think about it, it will produce thorns and thistles for you. It's painful toil. This is not a good situation for mankind because of the fall. And by the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return to the ground. So that's that disconnection. So there is no painful toil prior to the fall. So that's what we want to understand. So there's some specific words in this I want you guys to pay attention to as we go in further. Now, how long have you been impatient? Let's take a little journey back to childhood. Think about the age 0 to 10. Just go back to as a little kid, or actually if you have a kid, you can probably relate to this. 0 to 10, about 0 to 5, when you cried, what happened? It was like a panic in the house. Everybody ran to your needs. They gave you food. They picked you up, passed you off to mom and dad and cousin, and everybody held you until you were satisfied. Okay, so you were constantly in this motion. You didn't know what was going on. But then let's fast forward to the age 5. Well, age 5, this is when you actually start to have some awareness of life. One thing your parents would say, especially around about this time of October, hey, Christmas is right around the corner. Get ready for Christmas. And so you're excited for 90 days until Christmas comes. And what questions do you ask? Hey, what do I get? Okay, I'll be good. Okay, is it Christmas yet? What is that speech? Is that speech of patience? Or is that speech of impatience? It's speech of impatience. You're already headed a direction. It's happening right there in your childhood. You guys know the joke, and you guys seen the movie. Are we there yet when you're driving to somewhere? Because they're so antsy as far as getting to the location. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? What is that? That's impatience. So it's already starting to work in you. Now, let's take the age 11 to 18. 11 to 18, you go through puberty. When you go through puberty, you start feeling grown. You start feeling yourself. You're able to be mom, or you're able to be dad. You've reached to this level of maturity that is just beyond you. But part of you is you're looking at mom and dad, and you're looking at some of the conversations that you have with mom and dad. So this is how impatience starts to run in your life there. Hey, Mom, can I go here? Yeah. Mom, can I go here? No. What did I tell you? Go do this first. Go do this. So you have all these rules. You have these questions, and if you hear no, you take it a certain way. If you hear yes, there's a parameter. Okay, yes, but you have to be back by 10 o'clock. So all those things are bothering you. Because part of you, and you guys know it's bothering you because what do you say? You know what? I can't wait. I cannot wait until I'm old enough to drive myself. Have you guys ever said that statement before? I'll be the first one to admit I did. So think about it. You're trying to hustle and bustle because you're tired of having the time dictated to you. You're tired of all this stuff happening in your life and that you have no control over. So impatience from 11 to about 16, 18, now we don't know the magnitude of having the responsibility of having a car or being an adult, being a mother, being a father. We don't know what the magnitude, but we're impatient and we cannot wait to actually do that. So then you're 18. Okay? Actually, let me just skip to 19. Once you're 19 years old, you got your freedom, per se. You got your car. What do? You're excited because nobody can tell you no. Now your impatience has been met with freedom. So you got impatience on one hand, then you got freedom on the other hand. Now, what do? You go get a car, you go get a job, you get your apartment, get you a boyfriend, get you a girlfriend. You start living life beyond you. So by the time you're 30, you've already experienced a lot of things in your life based on this trail and what has never been dealt with. Impatience. It's already something that's manifesting for you. It's just part of your daily operation. You're constantly, okay, I need to do this. I need to get here. I need to get here. I'm not satisfied with this. I need to get here. It's part of the vision process of our lives. So we need to understand what this means and where this came from. How long have you been impatient? We've been impatient for quite some time. It starts out in our childhood and it shows up in our adulthood. It's just something that we're doing. And it's not okay. It's just something that we're used to operating in. How can you identify impatience? Let's look at some of the statements that we say. You need to hurry up. Have you ever said that in some of your business conversations? If you don't get that, you need to hurry up or else I'm just going to go ahead and do it myself. Is that a statement of patience? No, that's impatience working for you. That's your operation. It's part of your speech. And once anything is part of your speech, it's in your movement. You know what? I can't wait for this anymore. I got to go. I got to get this done. It has to happen. I can't wait anymore. Impatience. Irritation. Have you ever heard this sound? That's a common irritation noise. If you made that noise, you're irritated. That's impatience. Bad time management. If you're burning the midnight oil from you wake up at 7 in the morning and you're working until 12 at night on a continuous basis, 7 days a week, bad time management, and everything you're doing is you're floating throughout the whole day. That's bad time management, impatience. Nobody actually talks about impatience when it comes to bad time management. You can get all the books, you can get an iPhone, get an iPad, whatever tool you need, but if you don't address impatience, well, then you're missing the boat. Chaos. Chaos and impatience, they love each other. It's a perfect marriage. If you have chaos, then more than likely, 9 times out of 10, you are impatient. Afraid of peace. How can light and darkness, what common familiarity do they have together? Nothing at all. And that's in the Bible. So you can't be impatient and be peaceful all at the same time. They can't coexist together. Now, impatience, remember we were talking about, as far as being cursed, the painful toil. So part of the painful toil that we have upon ourselves, and you guys know what it looks like, to constantly feel like you're running in the hamster wheel. And remember, the hamster wheel is nothing but it just keeps on going around. You never go anywhere. It feels like you are, but you're constantly doing this. So the enemy's job is to keep you that hamster wheel in every single area of your life. And business ownership is just another field that he can actually embed that in. When you're focused on the wrong projects, how many people have ever done that before? Part of impatience is when you start adding to your business projects and things that don't need to be there in the first place. So now you've wasted time. You're worn out all the time. If that's part of your cycle, that's part of that painful toil, that equals impatience. They all work together. And so that becomes, again, a part of your daily function. But as survival, we're used to saying, yeah, I can survive this. I can push through, whatever. We're used to being worn out. Is that the daily life that you're looking to operate in? Not at all. But do we? Absolutely. So impatience has a way to actually go over and have those things going on. So John 10:10 reads this. And as you guys know, I refer to this often because this is something that we need to pay attention to as well. The thief comes only in order to steal, kill, and destroy. Now, do you feel like anything positive is going on in impatience? Think about that for a minute. Think about, does he steal your joy when it comes to impatience? Does he kill opportunities? Does he kill relationships when you're impatient? When you override somebody and say, you can't do it, I need to do it now, don't you think you actually killed and destroyed a relationship there? Impatience has a way to actually kill and operate before you. Galatians 5:19 through 21 reads, it's the acts of the flesh. Acts of the flesh are obvious. The ones specifically impatience it operates with are these acts of the flesh. Hatred. Okay? It puts you in the fits of rage. Think about it. Have you ever been in a car? Have you ever drove somewhere and somebody was in front of you and you were late going somewhere? They could be driving the speed limit and doing the right thing, but because you're late and you're being impatient, don't you have fits of rage on the road? Okay, discord. When it comes to impatience, it attaches itself to discord. Nothing positive is going on in your life when you have discord. It means you're having arguments. There's a lot of things going on in between. And 9 times out of 10, impatience is embedded in there. When you have office arguments, 9 times out of 10, impatience could be there. Why aren't you producing the way that I need you to right now? I need this to happen today. Well, did they get the full development of how to actually sell your product? We don't know that. But part of impatience overrides what they're missing. Jealousy. Selfish ambition. When you're focused on your vision so much and you forget about everything else, you skip over a lot of pieces. And impatience has its own function where it just looks up, looks forward, and forgets about the small details. And then that's where you have a lot of struggles in your business development is based off of impatience. Envy and idolatry. When you're in that place of impatience, idolatry is number one. It puts you in the place where nobody else matters, your schedule, everything you have going on matters the most. That's what impatience actually does. It puts you in a bad position. The destruction of impatience. The direct attack of impatience is to weaken your ability to persevere. You know, part of the Bible will ask you, and this is through faith, if you can't persevere through anything, when things happen and you're not aware of how that works, impatience, and again, if you have that big question mark in your business, impatience it teaches you how not to persevere because things are unknown. I need money now. You saw that J.G. Wentworth commercial. It's my money and I want it now. What is that talking about? I need it now. So you skip over perseverance and you want your money now. It's the same thing that happens with business ownership. When you have so much uncertainty every day and you're looking for a revenue and you're looking for cash flow, you will pick up whatever client comes your way. Whether good, bad, or indifferent, you'll suffer the consequences later. But as long as you get that feeling met now, you'll be impatient. This is part of the enemy's destruction. He does not want you to see God's blessing. Part of being patient is the fact of actually being able to see God's blessing. But as long as the enemy has you in a place of being impatient, you won't see God's blessing. You won't see anything that's happening. That's part of that destruction of that relationship, because that's the primary relationship that the enemy is looking to disrupt, is the relationship between you and God. The desires of man's heart. You guys know this. When it comes to business ownership, we do a lot of prayer. You know, the Lord knows the desires of my heart. Remember, God cannot be mocked. He cannot be tricked in your prayers. There's nothing that's hidden from God. So when we think about the desires of man's hearts, we say retirement, a 4-day work week. We've seen that book out there. Travel, fame, wealth. These are all functions of avoidance of painful toil. You don't have painful toil if you're retired, right? Hey, I'm living the life. If I work a 4-day work week, does that sound like painful toil? No, it sounds like I'm living the good life. But did God work for 4 days? How many days did he work? He worked for 6. Why are we looking for a 4-day work week? That's impatience working on us. Travel. Part of your gifting possibly could be travel. But because we're not waiting on the Lord and we're impatient, well, we want to travel and create our own system. And so the desires of the man's heart, what the enemy does, he understands the lustful part of your prayers. He wants to put you in this place. When we start praying for this type of work week, what we're praying for is our own selfish ambitions. And as you guys know, James 4:2-3, and when you ask, you do not receive because you ask with the wrong motives, that you may squander on your pleasures. Again, more of that impatience on the wrong thing. If your impatience and your heart is leaning towards the wrong thing, well then this is where you end up. Another deeper relation or further away from God. Impatience equals no trust in God. 9 times out of 10, we're impatient because we don't think the Lord is actually truly going to show up, or we've never seen it, or we've had something going on in our personal life that has impeded upon that relationship. So your heart doesn't trust that God's going to do what he says he's going to do. So you figure out your own timing. That's part of impatience. As long as you're creating your own lifestyle, you're impatient. And we have to look at impatience through God's eyes, not ours. Psalms 27:14 reads, "Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage." Well, if my heart is not strong, foundationally strong in the Bible, and I'm not sure about that relationship, how can my heart take courage? It seems like something's missing there. Man's fallen mindset. This is something that we really need to pay attention to. The mind is on the flesh, and it attaches to this scripture right here. Romans 8:7 reads, "The mind governed by the flesh is hostile to God, and it does not submit to God's law, nor can it do so." So impatience gets you to the point where, you know what, I'm creative, I'm smart, I can figure it all out. You know, this is the business model that I want, so I'll figure all this out. I'll figure out all the details. This is my business. So this is the mind governed by the flesh, and it's hostile. We got to make sure we understand it's hostile. That means that God cannot talk to you. He cannot communicate with you. Anytime God says yes, you say no. I got this. And it does not submit. So that means you have a hard heart, which is disconnected. So your mind is attached to your flesh. There's no heart in everything that you're doing. So how can you possibly be patient if this is the verse that you're operating in? If you want to find specifically where impatience seems to hide itself, where the enemy tries to embed impatience, this is where he embeds himself. It's in your systems and your new client acquisitions. These places are very important for you to create turmoil. That's why the enemy likes to hide in your systems and all your new client acquisitions. Because whatever you manifest at the bottom, it's always about the root, will show up at the top. As long as you're operating in painful toil, and as long as you're not having a firm foundation, because what the enemy does know, if you're creating a foundation without God, it's not as strong as you think. You can make all the money in the world, but the thing is, your systems cannot have any cracks in it. And you guys are seeing it on the news nowadays. A lot of business owners are having some difficult times nowadays. The enemy expects for painful toil to be embedded into the root of your business. And it's based off impatience. It's based off that question mark that we had spoke about earlier within your business. It is something that we really need to pay attention to and really help you understand that. And that's what today's show was about. It was to introduce impatience to you. We need to actually seriously take a look at where it comes from and think about it for a while today. As you listen to this show, I want you to think about where in your life, where in your business does impatience show up? Do you have 20 different appointments this week? And hopefully doing the dartboard appointment schedule, and hopefully something will stick? Or is there any kind of strategy or any kind of strategy to your appointment setting? These things are little things that signs of impatience. And today is all we're doing today is just a discovery of impatience, where it comes from, and how it's already operating within our lives and our business. What I'd like for people to do here today is I would like for you guys to follow us on Facebook. Leave your comments. Let us know what we can do to help you out. And we'll do our best to actually make sure we pay some attention to you. But in the meantime, we actually have to get back to work. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.